Acceptance is not surrender. It is strength in its purest form. When life strikes unexpectedly, our first instinct is to resist, to question, to bargain with fate. We say to ourselves, "Why did this happen to me?" But somewhere along that struggle, there comes a quiet moment when we realize that acceptance is not about giving up. It's about letting go of what we cannot control. It is that subtle shift from anger to awareness, from chaos to calm. Acceptance allows us to breathe again, to stop fighting battles that were never ours to win. It gives us the courage to stand still in the middle of the storm and whisper, "I will not let this define me." It's the art of finding peace in the middle of imperfection and learning to trust life's hidden plan. When we resist what is happening, we prolong our pain, but when we accept it, we begin to heal. Acceptance doesn't erase the hurt, but it transforms how we carry it. It's like holding a broken piece of glass gently in your hand. If you keep fighting it, it cuts you deeper, but if you hold it softly, you learn to live with its shape. In my own journey, the moment I stopped asking why me was the moment I started seeing purpose in my pain. I began to understand that life wasn't punishing me, it was preparing me. Every wound was a doorway to deeper wisdom, and every scar carried a message I needed to learn. Acceptance turned my pain into perspective, and that perspective became my power. So many of us believe that healing means forgetting, but healing truly begins when we remember without resentment. Acceptance teaches us to look at our past, not as something to erase, but as something to embrace. The hardest part is facing the truth that some things will never be the same again, and that's okay. Life changes, people leave, dreams break. But that doesn't mean the story ends there. Sometimes acceptance is simply sitting with the pain and saying, "I am still here." It's understanding that strength is not loud. Sometimes it's silent and steady. It's not the kind that shouts victory, but the one that whispers hope in the dark. The process of acceptance often begins with tears, but those tears are sacred. They wash away the illusion of control. I remember nights when my heart felt too heavy to hold, when I wanted to change everything that went wrong. But then I realized that acceptance was not about changing my reality. It was about changing how I saw it. The moment I stopped fighting life, I began flowing with it. Slowly, the pain that once consumed me became the soil from which compassion grew. Acceptance made me kinder, not just to others, but to myself. It taught me that I am not broken, I am becoming. There's beauty in the acceptance of what is, because it allows us to see the hidden blessings within our struggles. We often think happiness lies in fixing everything, but sometimes it lies in finding peace even when things remain unfixed. Acceptance brings us closer to gratitude, because it opens our eyes to what remains instead of what's been lost. When you learn to say, "Yes, this happened, and yet I choose peace," you reclaim your power. You begin to notice the light peeking through the cracks, and that light is enough to keep you going. Acceptance is not the end of the story. It's the beginning of a new chapter where pain and purpose coexist in harmony. Through acceptance, we discover resilience that we never knew existed within us. We realize that the strength to survive doesn't come from avoiding pain, but from walking through it with grace. Every time we choose acceptance over resistance, we rise a little higher, not because the pain is gone, but because it no longer controls us. Life doesn't always turn out the way we imagined, but it always gives us what we need to grow. Acceptance is the bridge between what we've lost and what we are yet to find. It teaches us to live fully, even when life is imperfect. And in that imperfection, we discover our truest selves. It's easy to accept happiness, but it takes courage to accept heartbreak, loss, and change. That courage comes from understanding that even in our pain, we are evolving. Acceptance doesn't mean we don't feel the hurt. It means we allow ourselves to feel it completely without letting it destroy us. It's in that raw honesty with ourselves that true transformation happens. When you accept your emotions instead of suppressing them, you create space for healing to enter. You stop living in denial and start living in truth. And truth, no matter how painful, will always set you free. Acceptance is the first step toward peace because it grounds us in reality. It reminds us that our worth is not determined by our circumstances, but by how we respond to them. It's choosing faith over fear, trust over control, and growth over resistance. When we stop fighting what is, life stops feeling like a battlefield and starts feeling like a journey. Every experience, pleasant or painful, becomes a part of our becoming. And through acceptance, we finally understand that life is not happening asterisk to asterisk us. It's happening asterisk for asterisk us, shaping us into who we are meant to be. Pain has a way of breaking us open, of showing us who we truly are beneath all the layers of strength we pretend to wear. It arrives uninvited, changes everything we thought we knew, and leaves us standing at a crossroad between bitterness and growth. I have learned that pain is not meant to destroy us. It's meant to awaken us. It shakes our soul until we start listening to the whispers we once ignored. It pushes us toward transformation, forcing us to see beyond the surface of our suffering. When I stopped seeing pain as my enemy and started seeing it as my greatest teacher, everything changed. The wounds that once weakened me began to teach me how to rebuild myself with deeper meaning and compassion. Pain, when embraced, becomes the most honest form of power. When we experience pain, our instinct is to numb it, hide it, or run from it. But what if pain is not there to be escaped, but to be explored? Every ache carries a story, and within that story lies the seed of purpose. Pain can strip us of everything we thought defined us, our plans, our pride, even our sense of control. But what it leaves behind is raw truth. That truth becomes the foundation of something extraordinary. I began to understand that the most powerful people are not those who have lived easy lives, but those who turned their heartbreak into healing. The moment we choose to turn pain into purpose, it no longer defines us, it refines us. That's when the broken pieces start forming a masterpiece. Sometimes pain doesn't come to ruin us. It comes to redirect us. It points us toward paths we never would have chosen if life had gone according to plan. I once thought the hardest moments were punishments, but now I see them as divine redirections. The things I lost made room for what I was truly meant to find. The relationships that ended taught me self-worth. The dreams that failed taught me resilience. Pain doesn't just take, it gives too. It gives us wisdom, patience, and depth. And when you finally stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, what is this teaching me? Your entire life begins to change. Pain transforms from a prison into a passage. Turning pain into purpose is not a single decision. It's a daily choice. Some mornings, you wake up heavy, unsure if you can carry the weight of yesterday. But each time you choose to show up, even with trembling hands and a broken heart, you are already transforming. Purpose doesn't always come in loud moments of clarity. It comes in the quiet ones, when you choose kindness over anger, when you forgive, when you keep going despite everything. Pain carves space in us for empathy, and empathy is the birthplace of purpose. When you've walked through darkness, you learn how to guide others toward the light. Your pain becomes a map that helps someone else find their way home. There is a strange beauty in realizing that the same pain that once silenced you can one day give you a voice. The moments that left you shattered can become the very reasons someone else doesn't give up. When you share your story with honesty, you give your pain meaning. You turn it into a bridge between hearts, reminding others that they are not alone. That is the essence of purpose. To take what once hurt you and use it to heal others. The cracks in your soul become the channels through which light flows. And in that light, you begin to see that your scars are not ugly. They are proof of survival. They are symbols of transformation, of pain that found a reason to exist. Every person who has found greatness has walked through moments of pain that tested their spirit. The difference between those who fall apart and those who rise is the decision to use their suffering as fuel. Pain can either make you bitter or it can make you brave. It can either harden your heart or open it wider. The choice is yours. When you stop seeing pain as punishment and start seeing it as preparation, you begin to live differently. You start to realize that what once felt like an ending was actually the beginning of something far more meaningful. You stop being afraid of pain because you understand it has a purpose far greater than your comfort. Pain is not just emotional, it's transformative. It reshapes how we see the world and how we see ourselves. It strips away superficial desires and leaves us craving authenticity, peace, and connection. Through pain, we learn humility. We learn what truly matters. We begin to understand that success is not measured by how much we achieve, but by how deeply we grow. Every time you rise after falling, you are proving that pain can be powerful. You are proving that purpose is born in the very places you once tried to avoid. The heart that has suffered the most often becomes the one that loves the deepest. The power of turning pain into purpose lies in realizing that nothing is wasted. Every tear, every loss, every disappointment, each carries a hidden lesson, a hidden gift. You may not see it immediately, but one day, you'll look back and understand why it had to happen the way it did. The pain that once felt unbearable becomes the foundation of your strength. It becomes the reason you empathize, the reason you inspire, the reason you understand others' struggles. And as you keep walking, your purpose becomes clearer. It's not about erasing pain. It's about elevating it into something meaningful, something that touches lives and transforms hearts. Redefining beauty and strength begins the moment we stop seeking validation from the world and start embracing ourselves as we are. For so long, we are taught that beauty is something we must chase, something that exists only in perfection. But the truth is, beauty lives in authenticity. It shines through kindness, resilience, and courage. Real beauty is not found in flawless skin or perfect smiles. It is found in the way a person carries their scars with grace. The most beautiful souls are those who have walked through storms, yet still choose to smile. When I looked in the mirror and saw not what was missing, but what remained, I began to understand what beauty truly means. Acceptance became my mirror, and self-love became my reflection. Strength, too, is often misunderstood. We are told that strong people never cry, never fall, never break. But strength is not about how much you can endure without feeling. It's about how honestly you can feel and still keep moving forward. The strongest hearts are the ones that have been broken yet remain open to love again. They are the hearts that choose empathy over anger, forgiveness over pride, and hope over despair. True strength is quiet. It doesn't boast or seek attention. It's in the silent battles fought behind closed doors, in the moments no one applauds. The day I stopped pretending to be invincible and allowed myself to be human, I discovered a deeper kind of strength, the kind that grows from acceptance, not resistance. Society has created such narrow definitions of beauty and success that we forget how powerful individuality is. We are constantly told how to look, how to act, how to be. But when you try to fit into everyone's expectations, you lose sight of who you truly are. The courage to be yourself in a world that profits from your self-doubt is one of the greatest acts of rebellion. I learned that beauty is not in comparison, it is in confidence. It's not about being better than anyone else, but about being at peace with who you are. When you stand tall in your truth, your presence becomes magnetic. People are drawn to authenticity because it's rare in a world full of masks. Every imperfection tells a story, and those stories are what make us human. We all carry scars, some visible, some hidden, but each one holds a memory of survival. Instead of hiding them, we should honor them. They remind us of battles we've fought, lessons we've learned, and the strength that carried us through. There was a time when I saw my flaws as limitations, but now I see them as art. They are reminders that I've lived, that I've endured, that I've grown. Beauty without struggle is surface, deep. But beauty born from resilience has depth, soul, and character. When you accept your imperfections, you stop chasing approval and start radiating confidence. Self-acceptance is the foundation of self-worth. The moment you decide that you are enough, just as you are, the world loses its power to make you feel small. When you stop seeking external validation, you start experiencing inner peace. I remember the day I looked at my reflection and said, I am enough. It wasn't arrogance, it was freedom. Freedom from comparison, from self-criticism, from the belief that I had to earn love. Self-love is not about ignoring your flaws, it's about embracing them without shame. It's the understanding that your value doesn't decrease because someone else fails to see it. When you truly accept yourself, you no longer beg for acceptance from others. The redefinition of beauty and strength also means learning to embrace vulnerability. Vulnerability is not weakness, it is the courage to be seen. It is the willingness to open your heart, even when it's been hurt before. When we hide behind walls, we might feel safe, but we also feel disconnected. It's through vulnerability that we form real connections, the kind that heal and empower. Every time you show your authentic self to the world, you remind others that it's okay to do the same. Vulnerability is strength disguised as softness. It teaches us that strength doesn't mean suppressing emotions. It means allowing them to exist without shame. The moment we redefine strength, we redefine success. Success is not about perfection, status, or appearance. It's about growth, peace, and purpose. It's about waking up every day and choosing to keep going, even when it's hard. Strength is not measured by how much you can carry, but by how gracefully you can let go. When you begin to measure life not by achievements, but by alignment with your values, your truth, and your heart, you begin to experience real fulfillment. Society might call it imperfection, but in truth, it's individuality. The world doesn't need more perfect people. It needs more authentic ones. People who are brave enough to live as themselves. To redefine beauty and strength is to give yourself permission to exist unapologetically. It's standing in front of the world and saying, "This is who I am, and that is enough." The journey is not about becoming someone else. It's about returning to yourself. It's about peeling away the layers of doubt, fear, and comparison until all that's left is your essence, raw, real, radiant. When you live in alignment with your truth, you inspire others to do the same. That is where true beauty lies, in the courage to be real, in the grace to be imperfect, and in the strength to keep shining no matter how many times life tries to dim your light. There is something profoundly powerful about choosing to share your story. especially when it has been carved from pain. We often underestimate the healing power of authenticity, the courage it takes to stand before the world and say, "This is who I am, and this is what I've been through." For a long time, I believed my scars made me less, that my struggles were something to hide. But when I finally began to speak openly about my journey, I realized that my vulnerability was not a weakness, it was my strength. Authenticity has a way of connecting us to others in the most beautiful way. When you speak your truth, you remind someone out there that they are not alone in theirs. Your voice becomes a light for someone lost in silence. We live in a world where everyone wears masks, pretending to be fine even when they are falling apart inside. Authenticity cuts through that illusion. It speaks directly to the soul. When you choose to show up as your true self, flaws, failures, and all, you invite others to do the same. You give them permission to drop the weight of pretending. The world doesn't need more perfection. It needs more truth. It needs people brave enough to say, "I have struggled, and yet I'm still here." It is in those honest confessions that real inspiration is born. Authenticity has the power to heal because it replaces shame with connection and judgment with understanding. Every story carries within it the power to inspire, but only when it is told with honesty. People don't connect with perfection. They connect with pain that has been transformed into purpose. When you speak about your journey with sincerity, you bridge the distance between hearts. The moment you stop editing your truth to make it more acceptable, you become relatable, and relatability is what heals. It's through your rawness that others find the courage to face their own struggles. Your story becomes a mirror reflecting hope where someone once saw only despair. When you share your journey with authenticity, your pain finds meaning. It becomes the reason someone else keeps going. The courage to be authentic often comes from having faced moments that tried to silence you. There were times when I questioned whether my story was worth telling. I feared judgment, pity, and misunderstanding. But I realized that silence protects no one, it only deepens the wounds. When you speak your truth, you not only heal yourself, you help others heal too. Every time we share our stories, we create a ripple effect of courage. Someone, somewhere, hears your voice and feels less alone. That is the beauty of authenticity. It spreads like light, quietly but powerfully. One honest voice can ignite 1,000 hearts. Being authentic is not about being fearless. It's about showing up despite the fear. It's about saying, "Yes, I have been broken, but I am not ashamed of my scars." When you share your experiences openly, you teach others that vulnerability is not something to hide. It's something to honor. Our stories don't have to be perfect to be powerful. The truth, spoken from the heart, carries an energy that no rehearsed speech ever could. Authenticity resonates because it's real. When you stop pretending to be unshakable and allow yourself to be seen, you build bridges instead of walls. Through your authenticity, you become a voice of hope in a world that often feels voiceless. Inspiring others through authenticity also means embracing your humanity. We all stumble, we all fall, and we all rise again. The beauty of your journey lies not in the moments of triumph, but in the moments of struggle that shaped you. People draw strength not from your perfection, but from your persistence. When they see you standing tall after being broken, they believe they can do it too. Every time you speak from a place of truth, you give others a blueprint for resilience. Your journey, once a private battle, becomes a public source of empowerment. It reminds others that healing is possible, that hope is real, and that pain can have purpose. Authenticity transforms relationships. It deepens them, strengthens them, and fills them with compassion. When you show up as your real self, You attract people who value truth over appearance. You create connections built not on pretense, but on trust. The moment you stop trying to impress others and start trying to express yourself, your presence begins to inspire. People feel your energy, your honesty, your light. Authenticity doesn't need decoration, it shines effortlessly. It teaches us that our worth is not tied to perfection but to presence. And in being fully present, we remind others of the beauty of simply being human. When we choose authenticity, we do more than share our story. We create a space where others can begin to tell theirs. Your truth becomes a spark that lights the fire of someone else's courage. When they see you rise from pain, they begin to believe they can too. That's how one story can change a life, how one honest voice can awaken hope in countless hearts. Authenticity is contagious. It liberates everyone it touches. Every time you live your truth, you invite others to live theirs. In that shared humanity, healing begins to happen not just for you, but for everyone who dares to listen, feel, and believe again.